Welcome to the Whole Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you become a fat burner, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie Potts, and I am going to dive into how to improve your performance longevity with supplements as amino acids. So I'm not sure if you've been following me for years or following Keon and Ben Greenfield, but last year I was a part of his beta testing program, becoming a Kion coach, Kion, where it's about performance and longevity. And well, I just looked through my old certificates of all my programs I've taken over the years, but I did Ben's Superhuman Coach program back in 2012, 2013. And that was another year-long course just to learn everything that I love to learn and share with you, how to train the whole athlete from the inside out with what I term the holistic method, working on the WHOLEU. And we need to not just focus on training, focus on keto or fasting. It's all this combined. The 8 elements of the holistic method are what we really need to work on. And I listen to people and I read the posts on Facebook and these different groups, and there's something missing from all these different posts. People are not connecting the body as one. We have all these different body systems built from cells. So our cells make up into tissues, into our organs, and our body system needs to be operating at optimal level. And exercising, especially myself and you probably, endurance athletes or athletes of any sport, Spartan racing, CrossFit, we need to be aware of how we feel, how we recover, and how we repair. And if you want to improve performance and work on longevity, which I hope you're more concerned about the aging process and what you're doing now, how it's going to impact you in 10, 20, 30 years. And as I get suddenly 48 years old, and somehow I'm turning 50 in November 2021, and I can't believe I'm getting that old, and I feel like I'm still in my 30s, but I know my past and what I wrote in my book, Life is Not a Race. I did a lot of damage to my body racing a lot and having a high stress job, and my personality being type A, AAA overachiever and doing way too much in the day. And you can learn all about me in my book, Life is Not a Race. It's on Amazon, to really understand my purpose and my passion and my mission, what I went through since 2013 till today, and it's an ongoing process, and why I'm doing this podcast 3 times a week, why I closed my fitness studio, why I'm focusing on all these different certifications to be a nutritional therapist and an FDM practitioner, Kion coach, to help you improve your performance and longevity. Just as Ben Greenfield has over the years, we find out from experience that more is not better, and sometimes less is more, but finding the right amount of everything is a Goldilocks effect, I call it. So, working on the holistic method, it's nutrition and exercise, sleep, stress, movement, mobility drills. And then we've got digestion and gut health. And then we've got hydration, which people forget about, water, clean water, filtered water, and then happiness, which a lot of people forget about. And I keep talking about it's not just what you eat. All these people experimenting with low carb, with keto, with carnivore. It's also how you eat, how you slow down. Are you sitting and eating? Are you focused? Are you multitasking? Are you in the parasympathetic state? How's your vagal tone? All that is how we're eating. Are you chewing your food completely before you swallow it? Are you eating and inhaling it super fast? All that's the why as well. So why are you eating? Are you hungry? Are you just eating because it's the time of the day? It's because your kids are eating, it's family dinner time, or because you wake up and you feel like you have to eat to get going and you're afraid that if you don't eat, you'll have energy crash. Well, what I'm trying to do is teach you that we need to learn how to burn fat for fuel. Yeah, right? Number one, we want to burn fat for fuel, and we want to work on getting off that blood sugar roller coaster. So we're eating more fat, we're lowering our carbohydrates, so we're working on what we're eating, clean, real food, not the crappy processed food I see people in the Keto for Beginners Facebook group page do. They're eating all this dirty keto. I want you to eat real food, nutrient dense, organic, toxic free. The ingredient list shouldn't have a bunch of crap in it. All these people think I'm healthy because I'm doing low carb. Well, actually, they're just interested in losing fat weight. They're not interested in overall health. So it depends on your goal. Do you want to lose fat quickly? Then lower your carbs. But if you want to be aware of what you're doing to your liver, what you're doing to your gut health, what you're doing to your body, creating this inflammation from eating all these processed low carb foods, it's a really important part of being healthy and optimizing your health. But for athletes, we need to work on our exercise and how much is too much and that right amount, and how to improve that recovery time. So all this stuff is really important to look at, and N=1. What I do isn't going to be exactly what you should do, and working on training, fueling, and performing the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method, which is the manual that's on Amazon as well, with the chapter of each of the 8 elements to dive into it more, which I try to keep updating it on my blog and podcast, but there's a lot of great information on there that you should be aware of. So I want to talk about the process we're going to do the next few months in the podcast. We're going to be talking a lot about women, female athletes, how they should train a little differently than men, going by the research that Dr. Stacy Sims has done. Women are not small men, and I finished her book, Roar, and Dina Griffin and Aaron Carson and I are going to do a podcast book review and dive deeper into the research that Stacy Sims shares in her book. But I'm kind of questioning a lot of her nutritional recommendations, and I think because I noticed on her Instagram, no offense, but a dietitian recommended some food, so they're recommending like kashi cereal and bread and egg whites, and I think that's a little outdated. So we're going to kind of dive into that in the next month, and working on our notes right now for that episode, how women are different than men. And then Kelsey Hess from Get Kion, she's a content manager for Kion and works for Ben Greenfield, and we're going to talk about the benefits of fasting for men and women, and then when women should adjust their fasting or change it. And so a lot of things we can dive into deeper in different podcast episodes on how women cycle, and when you're in high hormone phase, the last 2 weeks of your cycle to the beginning of your cycle's low hormone phase. So there's different things you should do. But what's interesting is what we were talking about in Keon, about the Keon Aminos and how they work and how they need to be used for athletes, and especially women athletes is what I'm trying to get some more research on to share with you. But ideally, we should have some amino acids when we're fasting. It'll break your fast, but some of the aminos that Keon has are these tablets, and I have to get my glasses on to read them, as only thing I feel older is that my eyesight is going to crap. So I can't read any labels on the bottles anymore. It's killing me. But so the Keon Aminos to help improve performance, recovery, and get stronger and not lose muscle as you're doing your intermittent fasting. And for women, when we're lower hormones, we need to build muscle. And all these people that are doing excess cardio or training for endurance events, we really need to make sure we're adding more protein into our diet, and we're adding some aminos, because as our hormones, as you do my health coaching program, we do all your lab tests and notice the anabolic versus catabolic hormone. So cortisol is catabolic and DHEA is anabolic. So we want to build muscle up, and as our hormones get lower as we get older, and our cycle for women changes, that we have hormones that are lower and then higher, depending on your stage in your cycle. So we need to make sure for female athletes, we're adding even more protein and amino acids. And Stacy Sims recommends having some amino acids, good quality source, within 30 minutes. Now, I like Kion products because I trust Ben Greenfield. He's a perfectionist. He does all the research. I use all their products that I need on their Kion, Get Kion website. And the Kion tablets are a little more chalky. They're 5 tablets that you take in a serving, but it has leucine, valine, isoleucine, lysine, phenylalanine, and I can never, you read these words in your head, but to say them out loud, they never come out right. So sorry. Threonine and methionine and tryptophan. So you've got great source in here, but you're supposed to take 5 tablets daily. And as an exercise aid, take 5 tablets 30 minutes prior to physical activity, repeating once every 2 hours of exercise, taking 20 minutes before or 1 to 2 hours after other dietary protein and fat. And that's what's suggested on the label. There is a Kion drink mix that I really like because I take so many different supplements, and it's nice not to take chalky, real quality aminos. They're chocolate tablets. They're not the crap stuff you're going to get at the grocery store or Costco, where people tend to buy their supplements, sadly. But, you get what you pay for. I tell my clients when I buy their supplements for them, as I'm a practitioner, I get these good quality ones, and they cost twice as much as they do in the store. So I always think you get what you pay for. But amino acids, we should be having them. And women, Dr. Stacy Sims says, within 30 minutes post-workout, you should be having some amino acids. So I noticed on Stacy Sims' Instagram, I was looking back and seeing some of her posts as I try to summarize her book, Roar, Women Are Not Small Men. She says, as an active woman, the timing of your protein intake is key, especially as it relates to the exercise recovery and muscle repair phase. Women recover faster with 25 to 30 grams of protein, with 5 to 7 grams of BCAA, branched chain amino acids, within 30 minutes of a hard workout. And it's important for endurance and strength workouts. So she gets a lot of questions of what 30 grams of protein looks like. And this was her picture on Instagram. But I disagreed with her recommendations that her dietitian put together some pictures. Now, it was like something with toast on it, and it was this cashew cereal, and things that I wouldn't suggest to clients because I don't think that's real food. And we try to do no sugar, no grains, and avoid that gluten and refined sugars. And you might find some hidden sugars in cereal, and it's harder to digest. Grains and gluten is harder on most people's gut and is a contributor to irritating their gut wall lining, which leads to leaky gut. And that's one of the tests I do with my functional lab testing with clients. So a good source, I think, is just to take the Keon Aminos before you work out and after. So 5 tablets, or you can get the powdered and have it in a drink and just mix it with water when you're done your workout. So women within 30 minutes, and the men can do an hour, hour and a half later. The other thing that I found on her Instagram is, for years, sports nutritionists recommended a 3-to-1 snack for recovery. So 3 carbs to 1 protein. Now, she's saying, which I agree with, that women really need protein, and we need it quickly. So after a strenuous workout, we need to have our aminos. So having the Kion Amino drink mix is what I prefer, and have that right afterwards. So she explains in her book that I like to share on the research about hormones. And she's saying in her Instagram post, I saw part of what's in her book is that progesterone exacerbates muscle breakdown in women. So you need more protein to protect those muscles and come back stronger. So if you don't eat any protein, your body will not use those carbohydrates to refill the muscles, so muscle glycogen and liver glycogen, as it's supposed to. Rather, the carbs you eat will assist in repairing your muscles. So you don't want to see, I think a lot of the research in the book is people that are carb burners and doing more higher intensity or working at levels where they're burning primary carbohydrates. So if we did your metabolic efficiency test on a treadmill or a bike, we could see as endurance athlete, if you've been training methionine training for years, if you're doing your HIIT training when appropriate, you have created that great aerobic engine base. So you're able to burn a higher percentage of fat at higher heart rates and spare the glycogen until end of your workout, or less percentage of carbohydrates are used for fuel and more percentage of fat. Now, if you're doing a high intensity interval training session, as I did today, I did treadmill intervals in between my strength workout. I was trying to run on the curved Woodway type of treadmill until I got to 160 heart rate. So it's like minute to 90 seconds to get my heart up that high on there, because it's such a kick your butt workout to run properly on a treadmill. And then I went back to 3 or 4 weight exercises and back on the treadmill. So I was wearing, as a side note, you need to wear your heart rate monitor if you're doing intervals, because I would be at 130 heart rate unless I pushed myself, seeing my numbers in my watch and going to 160 if it was a high interval day. So, because yesterday was low heart rate day, 120 to 130 for my workout for an hour. So now I think if I'm more fat adapted, I'm not using and depleting my carbohydrate storage as much as a typical athlete that's a carb burner and needing this many carbs as she recommends in her book. So that's where I kind of question if we need to change the recommendations that we read from Stacy Sims in her book, if they're based on more the carb burner versus the fat adapted athlete. So in the course, she talks about peri and postmenopausal women need closer to 40 grams protein post-workout. Now, I've also heard that you only can digest so much protein at once. So keeping 20 to 30 grams more is not better, because your body's not even to break it down. So not overdosing on protein. So the post-workout meal is, I like to just have aminos and wait until I'm hungry. So I can do my Keon Amino drink, have it in my little blender bottle, and have that after my workout. Or, if you're starting to get hungry, I actually have Butcher Box coming in every month, and I had one day that I cooked 2 of the steaks in there and 4 of the burger patties, grass-fed burgers, and I have those in glass containers in my refrigerator so I can have it cold, or I can heat it up on the oven, not the microwave, and have that for your protein, your aminos. So trying to get real food, of course, but after a workout, I'm often not hungry, and I don't want to eat if I'm not hungry. So I wait until my body says, yeah, I kind of am feeling hungry. So Keon Aminos is something I would do, the liquid drink or the tablets after the workout. So the other thing I noticed was a post was for women athletes, female athletes, that your cycle, you'll impact how strong you are strength training. So they mentioned a study in International Journal of Sports Medicine that women who trained with their cycle saw more than 13% gain of those who lifted the same weight regardless of where they were in their cycle. So that's another thing, talk about strength gains, and women need to lift weights more. I don't think enough endurance athletes lift. So you're breaking your body down more than you're building up. So remember, you want that homeostasis, the balance between hormones, and that includes catabolic and anabolic. So you got to be careful as you're doing endurance training that you're lifting heavy weights 2-3 times a week, 20-30 minutes. You don't need to spend an hour in the gym and waste your time. More is not better. Quality workout, precise exercises, you're activating the right muscles, and start with that. So anyways, so amino acids is kind of the focus today. Of course, I get sidetracked, but other post I saw is saying, although we mobilize fat during exercise, the opposite is true during recovery. Dr. Stacy Sims says, at this point, women tend to burn an increased proportion of carbs where men burn increased proportion of fat. Women's fat burning post-exercise metabolism drops back to normal about 3 hours after they showered and gone for the day, while men's levels remain elevated up to 21 hours later. How that isn't fair. But that's the importance of looking at all these studies, including the faster treadmill study of low-carb athletes. they're all mostly all done on men. There's not a lot of research on women. So we need to clarify, all right, here's the research, but who's that research even done and conducted on? Were there women in there? And then what phase of their cycle? And that's why they don't do studies on women very often, because it's complicated to look at their hormone cycle. If they're, day 1 through 5, or they like day 14 to day 28, it depends if you're in the high hormone phase before your cycle, kind of PMS time, or during your cycle when your hormones are lowest. And that's when you compare your hormone levels to more of a man, is that during your cycle and the hormones drop. So it's really important to look at the difference of men versus women. And especially when you're reading all these success stories and blogs and on Facebook group pages and Instagram, that you are realizing you're not a man, or maybe you are a man, and you're a woman. Know who you're talking to, and don't compare yourself to others, because your body and cycle and gut and your lifestyle and your stressors that no one seems to talk about are different than someone else's. So men too, it's going to be different, right? Because your stress level, your work schedule, your sleep schedule, your family life, your financial situation, that's all going to impact your ability to be a fat burner, as well as working on your recovery and repair, and because that's when you're sleeping and getting the right fuel in. So last thing I saw in this post, or the different posts that Dr. Stacy Sims had on her Instagram, some cortisol is good, but when we can lower it, when we can't lower cortisol, because it's Goldilocks effect, you want cortisol kind of in the middle, not too much, not too little. But if you have a chronic stress, chronically elevated baseline of cortisol, so if your cortisol is kind of running higher, so you're in kind of that acute phase of HPA axis dysfunction, we call it, our DHA takes a hit. So kind of the cortisol's up higher, the DHA is usually lower. And when I do functional testing with my health coaching clients, it's a 90-day program that I do one-on-one with them, that the lab tests, I've been using Dutch test and the Dutch urine test to find out where their hormones are during the day. So we can find out, is the DHA low? Most people are really low. But DHA is an antagonist of cortisol. So remember, building up, breaking down in it, but it's also the precursor to making testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. So we need to make sure our DHA is up optimal, but that's going to the cortisol, and see how everything works together, else we have this domino effect of breakdown. So once cortisol is elevated, progesterone can be converted into more cortisol, which that can be challenge as well, but sometimes people say progesterone can be converted to more cortisol to keep up with the demand, and then you're going to have problems. And this is because the body becomes less and less sensitive to cortisol. So anything too much, you become sensitive, like insulin sensitivity, leptin resistance, insulin resistance, same thing. Anything too much, your body comes to ignore it and less sensitive. And a little bit can needing stronger and stronger caffeine hit as you become accustomed to it. So just like, any chronic stressors, when you have coffee every day, as I have it here right now, it doesn't do anything to me. But if I took coffee away from me for a week or two, I might feel the effects of coffee if I put it back in. Same with your hormones. Basically, she's saying that high cortisol means low DHA. So cortisol, remember, is anabolic, breaking down, catabolic, breaking down, and then DHA is anabolic, building up. So if you have high cortisol and low DHA, you're going to have dysfunction in your body and have that domino effect of imbalances, and going to menstrual dysfunction for women, and other things can happen. But as females begin to train harder and they do more of the low carb eating plan, Dr. Stacy Sims says that your body will go into perceived starvation mode, shutting down fertility and creating the environment for menstrual dysfunction. So I think of that as, in her book, she's talking about when you are in your menstrual cycle and you drop, depends on what phase you're in. When you're in the high hormone phase, your body is more efficient at burning fat. And then when you're in the beginning of your cycle, our hormones are back down lower, that There's certain times that you can tolerate more carbohydrates, but if your body's, trained to make a baby, that if it perceives that stress is excessive from having too little fuel by too much intermittent fasting, and your body will create more dysfunction, so to speak, and start to kind of be on high stress alert, so your hormones might get more imbalanced. So interesting subject. We'll dive into that one for sure when I talk to Dina Griffin and Aaron Carson. So women, to build muscle up and help that imbalance of the cortisol and DHA as women athletes, and for men, we need to add more protein, real food, quality protein, as I do with ButcherBox, which is grass-fed meat, free range, wild caught fish, all that good quality source. So you're not getting the antibiotics that are fed to the factory farm animals and getting all the crap stuff from them in factory meat, and really get your amino acids after your workout. And Dr. Stacy Sims, talks about leucine. It's an important one for women. And I will summarize all my notes in my book of hers, Roar. I have tags and highlights everywhere, so I got to tally that up. But what Keon Aminos are, I just want to explain what Ben says about the aminos. So I'll just read this for you. But whether you're looking to stimulate faster muscle growth, recover more rapidly from exercise, or become more resistant to fatigue during a grueling workout, or you just want to benefit from additional amino acids in their most absorbable form to support your aging. And also, if you're vegan, vegetarian, or ketosis diet, Keon Aminos are the essential amino acids that we can get in a good quality source. So our body can't produce their own essential amino acids. That's why there's essential fatty acids that our body doesn't make that we need to add in our diet, and there's essential amino acids. And I must add in there's no essential carbohydrates. So when people are all questioning that we have to have carbohydrates, your body can make extra glucose from gluconeogenesis. So think neo means new, genesis, creating new sugar. So gluconeogenesis is where your body can take protein and break it down and convert it in the liver, another role the liver does, into glucose. So there's essential amino acids, essential fatty acids, but no essential carbohydrates, because their body can still make glucose if needed, and our brain can survive on glucose and ketones. So it's okay. All right, so your body generally gets aminos from the protein we consume of food, but your body's amino acid utilization from common protein sources is often less than 50% of their content, with the rest being excess calories and waste. So about 48% of egg protein is utilized by your body, less than 32% for meat, poultry, and fish, and less than 18% of whey, soy protein, and only 1% of the branched chain amino acids are utilized by the body. So the amino acids utilized in the Keon Aminos has a 99%. So that means we can absorb and utilize those essential amino acids it needs. Plus the Keon Aminos are formulated in the exact scientifically validated proportions needed for maximum utilization, as well as they're absorbed by the body within 20 minutes. So if you're running from the gym, and as we just talked about, for women, Dr. Stacy Sims has them, make sure women have leucine and other essential amino acids within 30 minutes. Well, this is something you can just keep in your workout bag and have it right afterwards. So if you're running from the gym, need a quick energy boost or staving off hunger pangs in the middle of a long workout, if you're doing longer training workouts, you might need to have these in your fuel bag, and you can give the boost that it needs and quickly. So that's why I'm drawn to Keon supplements, because their quality and you're going to absorb them. Most supplements that you buy in the stores, at the grocery store, at Costco, you don't probably absorb much of it or any of it. So the amino acids in the Keon Aminos are 99% that your body will use. So you can't really get better. That 1% is what you don't use, but your body's amino acid utilization from this 99%, you can't beat that. So I think it's essential if you're trying to train and get results, and you're trying to get muscle tone and lose fat weight, and you're doing a lot of fasting. You want to make sure that you are getting more protein in your eating window and having the Keons before and after your workout, Keon Aminos. So you'll get all the essential amino acids without having to prepare any food, chew anything, digest, or engage in other stressful activities. So as I said at the beginning of the show, is that it's why we eat, how we're eating, and when we're eating. And so many people, including myself, I have digestive issues, and I have to take a lot of HCl betaine to properly digest steak, partially because I damaged my digestive system with chronic stress for years, so I have to take digestive aids. And also, I hadn't eaten steak for 30 years, so I don't have the proper enzymes to break it down. So I have to take supplementation, or else I lie down and I throw up. TMI, but I know my body needs protein, but it doesn't know how to break it down. So having some pre-digested protein supplements really help for me and for others to get enough protein in, and being able to take the Keon Aminos before and after workout, or even during a longer workout, is really beneficial to improving your fat loss, performance, longevity. So, we want to get high quality nutrient dense foods like steak and eggs and nuts, but when you're not able to eat food and you're busy and you're training and racing, you need to get this in quickly. That's when you take the Keon Aminos. And also when you're not eating some solid food, or when we're doing a fast, intermittent fasting. And in my coaching program, I do 16-8 windows, so intermittent fast 16, and then 8 hours during my 5-day jump start. We're doing a liquid bone broth fast and having get the protein, aminos, collagen from the bone broth, the bona fide broth I like to use, and then having the Keon Aminos and having more athletic greens. So we're doing a liquid fast, and this is a great way to add in extra aminos, especially if you're doing lower heart rate workout that fasting week and just walking and doing more strength training during your mTOR cycle to increase your muscle building. So we have those aminos so we don't lose muscle. So what is inside the Keon Aminos, I'll go into next. So it's essential amino acids, as you know, EAA, and they're 99% utilized by the body for protein synthesis. So there's no form of protein that comes this close. And that's why I know as I get older, I'm not as muscle toned as I used to be. And I really don't like to have flabby arms and skin and my thighs and whatever. You get older, you lose muscle mass, and I hate to blame the aging process, but this is how we can kind of biohack the aging process, is adding some amino acid supplements so we can help get extra protein that I don't have to break it down and digest it. And also, if you are, vegan and vegetarian, it's a great way to get your aminos because you're not getting amino acids in your vegetarian vegan food because it's an animal product. So tryptophan is in it, and what tryptophan does, it encourages the release of important neurotransmitters and hormones needed for mood and sleep. So serotonin mixed into melatonin and starts with the tryptophan. So tryptophan goes to serotonin to melatonin. Lysine is in here, and it's often deficient, and if you're deficient, it results in a deficiency of niacin, which is a vitamin B, and that can slow your connective tissue repair. Methionine is in the Keon Aminos. This is used to supply sulfur and other compounds required by your body for optimum metabolism growth, and also the sulfur is in phase 2 detoxification pathways. And then we have valine, and that's needed for muscle fiber firing, tissue repair, and for the maintenance of proper nitrogen balance in the body. Leucine, which is what Dr. Stacy Sims talks a lot about in her book, to make sure your aminos have this included, your protein meal after you work out stimulates muscle protein synthesis and may be the major fuel involved in anabolic tissue building reactions. So that's why we really want to make sure whatever you're using has leucine in it in your post-workout drink or supplement. Isoleucine is important for blood sugar regulation, which is important for a lot of people who still are not fat adapted. And chronic stress will increase your blood sugar, so that's an important part. And muscle development and repair and energy regulation. Threonine is important for antibody production, your immune system activity, and can be converted into glycine and serine. And phenylalanine stimulates the release of neurotransmitters and hormones such as adrenaline and noradrenaline, which is necessary for optimum activity of our central and peripheral nervous systems. So phenylalanine. Oh my God, I need to practice speaking out loud. Okay, so next we want to talk about the amino acids, how they perform a variety of functions in our body. So we want to make sure we have enough of them ready to go pre and post workout and in the proper ratio. So that's why I can trust Keon Aminos provides us that quick 99% absorbable broken down protein in the tablet or the powder drink. And 1 gram of essential amino acids are in each tablet with no binder fillers. And it's just 8 essential amino acids formulated in the perfect ratio, because Ben's a perfectionist, for the body's absorption and utilization. So there's about 0.4 of a calorie per tablet. So really, if you're doing a fasting, if you take these amino acids, they probably are not enough calories to break your fast. But then you have to look at the mTOR versus AMPK pathway if that causes you to go to mTOR. So that'd be another research study to look into. So Keon Aminos is that drink mix, a mixed berry and cool lime. And of course, it's all natural and sugar-free. But the 5-gram scoop allows you to get a little bit more and easily portion your serving that dissolves into water or in your favorite drink. Now, as a dietary supplement, we are told to take 5 grams, so 5 tablets or 1 scoop of the Keon's Aminos daily. As you do for an exercise aid, take that 5 grams 30 minutes before you work out. So I just keep it in my bathroom. So when I'm getting ready in the morning, I just take those with my other supplements I take, my MitoQ and True Niagen. And then I take my aminos. And then repeat every 2 hours of exercise. So when I'm going back into spring, summertime, when I start going into longer bike rides, I put them in little pill baggies that you can get at the drugstore in the pharmacy section. They're like 20 bags for $1 or something, but you can put capsules that you take each hour and put them in little bags. And sometimes if I'm doing a race or training, I number the bags, and so I know each hour, make sure I take them all. So that is beneficial to avoid breaking down muscle. Now, with many benefits that you get from the aminos, they're essential, remember. So it's a great thing to add, because I never, especially before I started eating more protein this past year, I was always deficient in iron and amino acids, and all my lab tests I would do, I was never getting enough protein. Especially, I used to eat back in high school and college days, and in my 20s, I ate just the typical high carb, non-fat, no protein diet. So I've been deficient in fatty acids and protein for years. And then I started adding more fat, doing high fat, low carb diet back 15 years ago now. And so I've been doing more fat and protein, but I was never doing enough protein. So even if you're doing low carb, high fat, are you eating enough protein? And I think people, if you're like me, I was kind of more vegetarian. Animal stuff grosses me out. I don't want to eat it. But I'm forcing myself to eat more protein, because when I'm able to digest it properly, I feel better. My workouts are better. I recover more. I feel like I'm getting more muscle tone back, and I feel like my iron level is a little higher. But I have to take, when I'm eating whole food protein as a steak, I have to take my K-PEX supplement and HCl betaine to break it down. So I need my enzymes and stomach acid boost to break it down. So the Keon Aminos are a lot easier way because it's pre-digested, basically protein. So amino acids, 5 tablets a day. When you're exercising, take 5 tablets before you work out. And then for women, take it 30 minutes afterwards. And men, you can do an hour to hour and a half afterwards, I think she said. So if you're doing the tablets, you can even just throw them in your bag. But if you are taking them, the drink mix, I just, have it pre-made, shake it in your water bottle. I like the blender bottles and Athletic Greens. If you order it, they have this great bottle with a blender bottle stick kind of attached to the lid so I don't lose that little blender thing when I clean it and it doesn't run away. So it's all connected. So you can take that and just have it 1 scoop in your water post-workout. And then you can take it 20 minutes before 1 to 2 hours after you've had other protein and fat. So the main benefits, it helps you run, bike, swim longer. Once your endurance workouts longer and you can still have more strength. You don't feel as fatigued. As I said, it really made a difference for me and sustained energy mentally and physically. It gives you a little boost to get started in your workout and gives you energy. Like beginning of your run, you might feel the first 10-15 minutes a little bit extra boost of energy. And then it's energy that keeps you feeling light and not weighed down, because I can't eat and work out, but sometimes I need a little something. So making sure I'm able to have a supplement broken down that's going to give me support for my workout energy fuel. I think this is something I like to do because I can't eat and you can't digest your food and then go work out. But that's kind of what I've been doing, kind of studying. I've got lots of research articles you can look at that Kelsey Hess and I are preparing for a podcast on the female athletes and fasting and protein. But the essential amino acids are really beneficial. It's helping me in my recovery and repair. As I said, I'm not getting enough protein in, and I do my fasting and I just, don't eat enough protein. I am now that I have ButcherBox, but as I said, I keep getting sick. I did it yesterday. I felt sick because I didn't take enough my HCl betaine supplements that I get from Biotics and this K-PEX from BioOptimizers I really like. But if I eat and then a couple hours later I lay down and then I got sick. And so really for me, and if you're more vegetarian, I would try out these amino acids. So I'll put some links in the show notes, how you can order it, and then we'll do some extra information on how they help you for performance and longevity, but also, burning fat and sparing that muscle glycogen so you're not breaking down protein to increase your glucose levels. So that's all for today, guys. We got so many great topics coming out this year, and I'm really excited. And suddenly this has been another 45-minute podcast chat because I get started and I'm talking by myself into a microphone in my home office, and suddenly time's gone by. So let me know if you have any questions. I'm trying to, as I said before, do Wednesdays on health building, and right now it's like optimizing mitochondria. Fridays talking a little bit more about performance and longevity and how to train the low-carb athlete to improve your endurance, your recovery, your repair, and longevity. That's all on Fridays. And then we've got Mondays, my interviews with other guests. So thanks for tuning in. And if you like what you are hearing, please share it with other people and share the love with your other athletic friends. All right, talk to you soon. Send me questions to debbiepotts.net, and also Facebook. We've got the Whole Athlete podcast page and Low Carb Athletes, where I'll put the research links, and on Instagram, Low Carb Athlete. All right, go have fun, smile, laugh, and play.
Thanks for listening to the Whole Athlete podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at wholeathletepodcast.com. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.